Blackstone, and welcome to my computer. If you've opened Cricut Design Space lately and thought, wait, where did everything go? You're not alone. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the new layout, show you exactly where to find your tools, settings, and features, and help you feel confident navigating it all. Let's jump in and get you comfortable with the brand new Cricut Design Space. First, let's talk about what Cricut Design Space is. And really, it's the software that runs your Cricut machine. You have to use Cricut Design Space in order to cut or do print and cut or do any of the functions with the actual Cricut machine. However, you can get designs from elsewhere and put them into your Cricut Design Space. This is a pretty easy process, and Cricut Design Space is more confusing than you think it is. I promise, once you know where stuff is, you'll be able to figure it out. Now, this is a cloud-based product, which basically means that it will save it into that imaginary cloud on the internet if you make a project, but you can also make sure that they're saved locally to your computer. Now, what else we need to know about this are the compatible devices. So you can use this with a desktop computer or a desktop Mac. You can also use this with iOS devices, meaning your iPhone or your iPad, and your Android devices. Now, I don't recommend the app. It's pretty clunky. You have to click a lot of ways to get into the different menus, and it's kind of a pain. But it will work. But keep in mind, this is not compatible with your Chromebook. You also don't need to know everything to get started, so don't worry if you don't know how to do something. You can find a video on my YouTube channel that will tell you how to do it, and if you can't find it, just let me know in the comments, and I'll make sure to get you a video to help guide you to make whatever it is you're trying to make. Now, they do a lot of updates, so I like to try to keep doing these types of videos if there's big updates with Cricut Design Space. So while my design space may look a little different in some of the videos, you can still do all of the functions. Nothing has gone away necessarily. Things have just moved around a little bit. So let's talk about the home screen here. This is what's going to open up when you start your design space. Now, your bookmarks will obviously be different than mine. These are things that I have saved, but then they offer you like images and projects, and this is sort of like your inspiration section. The real section that I like to use really is just this new project button. Now, this is going to look a lot different compared to Design Space of yore, meaning they've added some things. We now have these templates where you can like have a preset space in order to create these designs. And they have templates for things like stickers and cards and all sorts of things here. However, if you're just making things like a mug decal or a tumbler or a shirt, something like that, I don't recommend using these because they really do limit you on the space of which you can work. Now, I do have a whole tutorial about how to work with decorative stickers, and I do have one that talks about the insert cards as well and how to kind of circumvent their one card design option. I will link those down below. But what I recommend is that you start with blank canvas. And a blank canvas is just going to give you all the space you need to make anything that you want to. We're going to go ahead and click Start Designing, and that's going to open up your Canvas screen. This is where you're going to do all of your designing, creating all of your projects, doing all of the things. It is going to open up this Images tab, which you can use these images if you want to, really up to you, but I tend to just close that tab because it does take up a lot of space. But over here on the side, we'll first talk about our left menu really quickly. And what we have here, you can start a new project if you finished something and you're just ready to move on to something else. There's also a projects tab here where you can bring up ready-made projects that you can just simply click on and create. And there's lots to choose from. You also have your shapes options. Now, you do have some shapes that are free, which are these ones at the very top. But then if you have Cricut Access, which is their subscription program, you do not need to pay for Cricut Design Space. Access just gives you some more tools and images and shapes. And I'll put a link down below that's going to talk to you a little bit about why you don't need to pay for Access and ways to work around it. But you can see here that you do get a bunch of shapes that are Access only, but you do have quite a few free shapes. Then we have that Images tab, which again, you can pull up an image and create with that. You have a Text tab, which is going to open up a text box for you that you can type anything in. We'll go over that a little bit more in a minute. We also have a monogram maker. This is for Cricut Access members only, and you can create monograms in all sorts of different styles and designs. You also have this layouts button, which basically is going to give you a template to create on top of, which can be helpful if you just want to get an idea of what something's going to look like. You have your upload button here, which is where you can upload designs into Cricut Design Space. Again, I'm going to link some really helpful videos down below for like uploading things, because I'm not going to be able to go into full detail on a lot of different ways that you can use this upload option. But I have a whole video that's going to talk all about it, and it's so easy to do. And then you have the Create AI button. Again, this is for access users only, and you can have it create an image for you. But what we're going to do first is we're going to do the text. Now, if you hit the text button, it is going to bring up a second one. Let me delete that. Now, when you're working with text, let me make this larger. What you'll need to do is you can double click on it to edit what your text is going to say. So we're just going to do this as Cricut Design Space 2026. If you want to make your text 2 lines, you just simply hit enter with those 2 lines, and that'll create that section here where you've got separate lines. Now, with working with text, if you're from the old Cricut Design Space, you're probably thinking, where the heck is offset? Where is curve? Where is the line spacing? Where is all the things? So let's show you around a little. Let's start here at the very top section. You're going to see that you have a few buttons. Now, we're going to come back to edit in just a second, but you have your undo button, your operations where you can change this from basic cut to draw, foil, score, print and cut, all the things. You also can change the color of your design or your font or whatever you're making. And then you have your font selection. Now in the font selection here, you have Cricut, which are the fonts that come with Cricut. Keeping in mind again that not all fonts are free or included if you don't have a Design Space Access membership. If you want to know which ones are included, you can see there's a little A here. Those are your Design Space Access only. Now, I personally really like to use system fonts over any of the other fonts, and you can download fonts. And again, I'm going to link a bunch of helpful videos down below for you that's going to go over all the things you need to know. But here, you can just choose whatever font you maybe want to work with, and you're going to see that it'll change the font on your screen to whatever font you have selected. So you can go through all of the fonts that are on your computer and choose whichever one you like to work with. You also have the little, like, this would make it bold or italic if that was an option. Not all fonts offer that option. And then this one right here, you notice that you really can't see what it is. If you click on it, it's just your font size. It doesn't give you like any detail as to what it is. It's just so you can size your font, but you can honestly just pull it like this, or you can use the width and the height option. Now, I want to point out one thing that I think a lot of people do miss is this little lock in between. If you unlock it and then you change the proportions, you'll see that it doesn't change the height, it only changes the width. But if I lock that again and I change this back to 10, you'll see that it changes the size of everything. Let me undo that just so that my font looks normal again. And then the next item you have here is your arrange option. And under arrange is where you're going to be able to bring it to front, bring forward, send backward, or send to back. That's just for your layering if you want to see that and where it sits. And then here we have just flipping horizontal or flipping vertical. Now, remember I said where the heck is offset, where the heck is line spacing? It's under this edit button over here on the side. You have a couple of options here that are normally at the top on the old Design Space that they've moved to the side. So under your text tools, you have your position, which is just your X and Y axis. If you're not sure what those are just the numbers here up at the top and on the side. Those are gonna be part of your X and Y. So if I change this to 1 and I change this to 1, you'll notice that it moves it up to the 1 and the 1 spot. We also have the arrange option on this edit button, which is the same as it is over here. We also have rotate here, and we have flip, but we also have these font tools, which are specific to only when you're working with fonts. So you can change your alignment, whether you want to do left, right, or center. And then you have these tools right here where you can get it to change to like the top or the bottom. It's more so if you have wrapping on. I don't like to use wrapping. What it does is it makes your text kind of stay in the same size box. It's not really something that I mess with. I'd rather just create the box and hit enter when I want my spacing. But here's where we have the letter spacing. So if I click that, you can see I can space the letters out more. We also have our line spacing over here too. So if you're looking for line spacing, that's going to be under your edit tools as well. Plus your ungrouping. Now you can select this and you can ungroup this to letters or to lines. And you can see here that these are your two options. There's no layers for this, so you don't have that one. But when you're working with text, you have ungroup to letters or ungroup to lines. So that's where that has moved. Now, here we have our effects. So we have our warp effect, which you can only use with access, and you can see you can just kind of warp it to whatever, you want it to look like, kind of play around with the different warps, whatever it may be. You also have, this is where you have your offset tool. So you can create your offset right here under the offset section. Now you'll notice that when it's only got the offset selected, you see how all those tools went away? If you want those font tools, you need to make sure that your font is selected. Now here we also have these combine tools here as well. So you have weld, unite, subtract, intersect, exclude, and flatten. Again, I'm going to link that video because if I tried to explain that all in this video, it would be a really, really long video. But you can see here that you do have all of those tools, but they are also available down here at the bottom of your layers panel, where you have all of those, plus you have attach and flatten down here as well. You're going to be able to find most of your tools within those sections. Now, I don't know what it did here. I think Design Space might have lost its mind slightly because see how we have this weird thing and there's no layer here? Sometimes it'll do that. I think if I hit make that it won't do anything. It won't show that. It's just something that weirdly showed up. But let's see. Let's see what happens if we hit make. Yeah, it's not showing that other offset. So that's just something weird that it did. Sometimes Design Space will lose its mind slightly, and that's why I recommend that you save your projects. So if you want to save your projects, we're going to look up here at this top section. You'll see first that we have our untitled project, and then we have project instructions. This is where you can see supplies, step-by-step instructions, and a video tutorial, but you're not going to see that for something like this. You'll see here that we have some to select from, but if you make a design, it's not really going to give you much. But this is also where your save option is. And if you click that, it brings up a box where you can add the title to it. So we'll call it Cricut Tour. And you can save it into any of your collections that you might have. And you can click save. That'll save your project to make sure that everything is not going to get messed up if you hit make. You want to make sure that you save quite often. And next to save is your My Stuff button. And under your My Stuff button, it's going to bring up your projects. You also have bookmarked projects if there's something that you saved. You have projects that are ready to make and ready to go. Or you can click all, and that's just going to be like everything that exists on Design Space ever, including your projects, their projects, all the things. So I like this one. This is my project section. You can also look at images here too and pull up anything that you have bookmarked. Sometimes it's a little bit slow to load. It has its moments. And then you can see all your collections here in My Stuff. If you want to go back to your canvas, just click the canvas button up at the top of the screen. And next to that, you'll see the subscriber deals. We're going to just ignore that. It's just them trying to sell you stuff. And then you have your make button, which is what's going to take you to the screen to get you ready to create your project. Now, I do have a machine right now that is one that can cut off matte. So because of that, it asks me to choose whether I want on matte or without matte. For this, we'll do on matte and click confirm. Then you'll see it pulls up my designs here on my mats, and that's how we're going to cut. Now, again, I'm not going to show you how to do all of that because I think you're better off looking at videos that can give you more detail. This is just to show you around Cricut Design Space. I want to show you around the upload section really quickly as well, just because I think that's an important one that you need to know about. When you click the upload option, it brings up this screen right here. You're going to see your recent uploads, and then you'll also see up here where it says upload, you have image or you have pattern fill. I'll show you both just so you can get a quick idea. So if I go to image and I choose upload image, it's going to bring up this page, and it shows you that your compatible file types are JPG, PNG, GIF, SVG, DXF, HEIC, and BMP. So you do have quite a few different projects that you can use. Now you can drag or drop your files, or if you click browse, it'll bring up your file folders. I'm going to use something here just from my random things that I have in my design space. Maybe not that one. I'm going to look for something that I know that I've got. Let's try this one. Okay, we'll use this. I'm just choosing a random image, but you would choose whatever image you want, and then you can click on it and it'll bring it up into this upload image. Now I am using an SVG for this. Now, if it comes up with a thing that says, oh, it's a little bit large, it may take a minute, you can just ignore that. And I also want you to be aware that it looks really blurry right now, but it won't be once it's in your design space. So once you have put your SVG into design space, you need to click a couple more things. You need to click continue here. And this is where you're going to rename it if you want to, add any tags and add it to your collections. And then you can simply click upload. Now this is going to put this directly on to your canvas right away, and it's ready to basically go. Now again, there's more to it than this, and this is really just to show you around. I do have tons of videos that show you how to work with things like this if you've got issues or anything like that. But basically that is how you upload an SVG. Uploading a PNG is basically the same and pretty simple to do. Again, I'll link below a video that talks about how to upload any image to your Cricut Design Space. But remember, I wanted to show you patterns really quick. So if you go back to upload and you go to pattern fill and you click upload pattern, you can do the same thing where I can click browse. And for this, you really can't use an SVG. You need to use a PNG design for this. And I'm going to go back into one of my folders that I have some patterns that I use, because I'll use them for like the thumbnails on my YouTube videos. And I'll just use this one because it's super bright. So I'm going to select this PNG image, and you'll see here that it's going to bring it up. Again, you can change the pattern name image. You can choose like colors that are in it, whatever you want to do. And you'll see here that it says print and cut pattern. Then when I click upload, I can choose that upload, and we'll use this offset here to show you what it looks like. Now it does take a second to kind of load it in sometimes, and sometimes it'll bring you right back to your upload screen, which can be super annoying. But if you just click cancel, it'll take you right back to your screen. Let me hide the flowers that we uploaded, and I'm going to change the offset here from basic cut to print and cut. And if you want to use that pattern that you just uploaded, click this color box. Under print type, change from color to pattern, and your new pattern should be right at the top of the screen. When you select it, it will fill your design in, and you can edit this pattern and change it up however you want. So you can like make it bigger or smaller or whatever you may want to do to it, but you can kind of play with it and, move it around, whatever you want to do. There's no right or wrong way. You just kind of make it how you want to make it. So now you've got a pattern. So you can very easily add images and patterns to Cricut Design Space. Now, if you want to make stickers like with print and cut here in Cricut Design Space, one of the main things that you need to know about is the flatten button, which is down here under your layers panel. And that's going to merge all the layers into a single layer, making it a printable image. And it tells Cricut Design Space not to cut around all your parts. So if for some reason I wanted to make this into a sticker, I just select all my pieces and choose flatten. You'll see that the black outline around my letters goes away because that's Cricut Design Space showing you where it's going to cut. And now we have our print and cut image. Now again, tons of videos about print and cut. I will link some down below to help you because I don't want to take up a lot of your time going through every little step. This is just to show you where stuff has moved to here in Design Space. I also want to talk about this section up here at the top. So I'm going to bring this back in because we need to show you group. So what group is it holds your images together here on your Design Space canvas. But if you go to make it, your design is going to be really jumbled up. So if I hit make, you're going to see that this design is going to be in pieces everywhere on the mat. It's going to be an absolute mess. So again, I'll select on mat. And I'll show you what that looks like. See how like nothing is in the right space? There's dots everywhere. It's just a big old mess. That's because the image is grouped and not attached. Again, I'll link a video that talks about grouping and attaching. But if you want to ungroup your image, you click these two squares here. That's going to ungroup your image. Now, there's lots of groups in this one, but we're just going to pretend like that doesn't exist for a minute. Now, also, I want to talk to you about this duplicate button. This is going to give you a second copy of your image. So if you want to make more than one, or maybe you want to do them in two different colors, whatever the case may be, you can have two copies. It's super easy. And then if you ever just want to delete it, you can use this delete little trash can, or you can hit delete or backspace on your keyboard. That will also work as well. But what I want to do is show you attach real quick, because attach is one that's down here on your layers panel, and that just keeps all your objects in place. So if I click that and then I click make, you'll see that now when I go to make this, everything will be held in place. It'll look just like it does when you're looking at it on your canvas. So it's going to take it a second because this is all little dots. I would probably never cut this, but you can see here that now everything is held in place. It looks just like it should. So you need to know kind of where those little pieces are, but you can also right click on this and it'll bring up a bunch of those options as well. You can see that you have cut, copy, paste, duplicate, delete, select all, arrange, combine, which includes weld, unite, subtract, intersect, exclude. Then you have detach, which if I click that and then right click again, it becomes attach. And then you also have the flatten option if you want to create that into a sticker. There's a lot of things to explore within Cricut Design Space, but I wanted to give you just the basics in case you were wondering where things have moved to, how to select things. Now, one last thing that I want to show you is this very top section, because this very top section has a lot of things that can be super duper helpful, and I feel like people miss it a lot. First thing we'll talk about here is the three dots. If you click on those, you can actually use File to open another window or quit Cricut Design Space, or you can just click the X in that upper corner to leave. You also have this view option. Now you can reload Cricut Design Space. If Cricut Design Space has suddenly decided it doesn't want to work, you can use a force reload, and you can also toggle to full screen. Then under the help section, you'll see that you have a help, contact member care, videos, and about. Now, about is a super helpful one because it does tell you which version of Cricut Design Space you are using, which is important to know if you're looking at what updates may be. The next section here is the help section. And again, you already have that help section, but they do have some more things with how-to videos, cheat sheets, what's new, report a bug, online help center, and contact member care. Now, I just want to give you a little caveat with member care. 99% of those people have never touched a Cricut in their lives. They are given a script, and based on the answers that you provide them, they will answer you back. But they're not able to troubleshoot quite as well as somebody like myself who works with Cricut on the daily and things like that. So if they are unhelpful, feel free to reach out to me. I will do my best to help you troubleshoot your issue. Now, the next part we have here is this button right there, and I'm just trying to get this help to go away. This Cricut Explorer right here that shows, if you click on that, that is how you can select your machine. So you can see here, I'm not connected because my machine is turned off, but I do have the Joy 2, the Maker, and the Joy Extra all set up on this machine. I don't know if it's going to connect to my Maker right now. It is turned on, but it is kind of far away. So we'll see if it'll connect. But that's how you can connect to your machine or tell it which machine you're using. Since not all machines are created equally, you'll need to make sure that you have the right machine selected to use your project. This little button here is the settings button, and this is kind of going to take you right to machines. And I'll go over this little section in a second because there's another way to access this. And then you have this little bell. Now you might see a little red dot next to this little bell, and this bell is like your notifications. So you can see mine tells me that somebody started following me. But this is also where Design Space will tell you if it's got a new update to be installed. So that's a super little helpful piece. The next section we have here is the one that's going to be your profile. So this is what has like your name, and if you add a photo to it, and if you click on it, you can see that you've got a few things that you can access. You can access your profile, your notifications, your settings. You can report an issue. You can check out the subscribe deals. You can get to your account, and you can sign out. The one that's going to really be most important under this menu is the settings, and that's where you're going to find a lot of things that you may need to access. So when you click on settings, it's going to start you right here with general. So you're going to be able to choose your country and your language, and then right here is saving for offline use. So this can work without the internet, but you'll need to have the items saved to the cloud and the computer. I only do cloud only. I don't work with it enough. But you also have this application experience, and you may hear me talk sometimes about the beta experience, and that's where they put a lot of like their new things to test, so you can select that to switch over. You also have the About Design Space where it tells you your version, and you can check for updates here. Under Content, this is just where it's going to kind of give you the option to show or hide mature content. Now, I will tell you that I have had it on show the whole time. but for some reason it keeps defaulting me to hide. Now, most of the time I don't really care. It doesn't matter, but it'll show you things that say like swear words in it. Obviously it shows you all this stuff, but they don't put a lot of that on there. And it is still pretty family friendly. But you can select that. The next one over here is machines, and we talked a little bit about machines. Now, with firmware, that's something you want to check from time to time just to confirm that your machine has the latest and greatest firmware. You also will calibrate your machine for here for print and cut, the knife blade, or the rotary blade. And then you can create your own custom material settings right here, which is super helpful if you're using something that their preset material settings just aren't working with. And I'll link a video for that down below. And this is new. They have added the remove machine option. Now you can see I have a lot of machines. And if for some reason I had gotten rid of one of these machines, I would be able to finally remove the machine from my listing. Now I still have all of them, so I don't need to, but you absolutely can now. We also have some canvas settings where you can change your grid options from full, partial, and no grid. You can change your units from imperial to metric. You also can have operation type and snap to align. I turn the snap to align off all the time and it constantly returns it back on. So just keep that in mind. We also have load type, which you can put the defaults in for each of your machines. So for me, my default type is on matte and my print and cut settings are 8.5 by 11 letter, but you can change those to any of the other sizes that they offer. You can also turn on and off notifications, which you can see I don't really have a lot on. And you can check all of your system information. So you can see that you have like certain disk space. Now I will say this is not fully accurate because I am not using 11.3 gigabytes of my physical memory. I know that for a fact. So just know that this is not fully accurate. So that's where all of your settings are. That's a super important thing to know. I'm just going to go ahead and replace. I don't know why it does that when you go to settings. Sometimes it'll do that, sometimes it doesn't. So just be prepared if you're in the settings to make sure that you've saved your project. Now, if I could give you any advice to working within Cricut Design Space, it's going to be these things. Start simple. Just make a simple text. Make a simple image. Do something easy. Cut a shape. Do something really easy, and that way you're not going to be overwhelmed. Make sure that you save your projects. Even if you think for some reason that you will never make that project again, save it, because I have come back and been like, oh, man, I wish I still had that project. So make sure you save your projects. You want to practice with free designs, free shapes, free text. That way you're not spending a lot of money. And I'll link my favorite resources for free stuff down below. Don't overcomplicate things. If you think that it's complicated, I promise you it's not. You just need to take time and work with each step. I have tons of videos to show you step by step how to use Cricut Design Space and how to make things. I don't leave out steps. I don't gatekeep. I make sure that you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing and when you're supposed to be doing it without all of the extra chatter that some of the other creators do. Make sure that if you want to check out more tutorials, I've got a bunch listed down in the video's description that will help you really master Cricut Design Space and become an amazing crafter in no time. If you have any questions, please let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. It's totally free to subscribe, and I would love to have you as part of my crafty family here on YouTube. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.